In the smoke-choked trenches of the Ardennes forest during the brutal Battle of the Bulge in World War II, where American soldiers faced freezing blizzards and relentless Nazi artillery that shook the frozen earth like thunder from the gods of war, the unbreakable spirit of military resilience burned brighter than any flare. The acrid bite of cordite filled their nostrils while the metallic tang of canned rations lingered on cracked lips, their bodies aching from frostbite yet driven by an inner fire that no power outage or supply failure could extinguish. Bullets whistled past helmets caked in ice and mud as these prepared warriors shared every precious bite, their eyes reflecting the grim determination of men who knew survival hinged on foods that demanded nothing but raw human will to sustain them through endless nights of chaos. The distant howl of wind carried echoes of fallen comrades, yet the scent of simple provisions cut through despair, reminding every soul that true soldiers prepare not for comfort, but for the raw, unyielding test of endurance when civilization crumbles. Sweat mixed with snow on their weathered faces under the flickering glow of distant explosions, forging legends of survival that echo across time and inspire today's guardians of freedom to stand ready against any storm. This epic tale of defiance unfolds in our video titled 17 Essential Foods Every Prepared Soldier Has That Don't Require Power, a cinematic journey into the heart of what keeps warriors alive when the lights go out forever. Drawing from the same ancient wisdom that armed our greatest fighters, The Lost Superfoods stands as the definitive tome revealing secrets long buried in military archives and frontier lore, packed with recipes that have powered armies through the harshest conflicts without a single watt of electricity. Its pages pulse with the earthy aroma of smoked meats and the satisfying crunch of preserved grains, offering a sensory blueprint for resilience that transforms ordinary pantries into unbreakable fortresses against blackouts and societal collapse. But before we charge deeper into the battlefield of preparedness, seize your copy of The Forgotten Food Miracle of the U.S. Army and 126 superfoods you can store without refrigeration for years right now, because hesitation could cost you everything when the grid fails and chaos erupts. The link waits in the description and the first pinned comment, a direct lifeline to immediate action that connects you to the urgent need for preparation every true soldier feels in their gut before the first shot rings out. Feel the adrenaline surge like the heartbeat of a paratrooper leaping into enemy territory. Knowing this ebook arms you with knowledge that no power outage, no supply disruption, and no crisis can ever strip away. Act instantly and lock in your advantage, turning potential vulnerability into the ironclad strength that defines every prepared fighter ready to endure and conquer. Picture the dense, chewy texture of pemmican pressed between calloused fingers in a foxhole, its rich blend of dried berries and rendered fat delivering a burst of wild, smoky flavor that lingers on the tongue like the taste of victory snatched from the jaws of defeat. Soldiers in the frozen wastes of Korea relied on this timeless fuel, the nutty aroma rising as they tore into it under starless skies, their bodies reignited with energy that required no stove or electricity to ignite pure survival power. The visual of compact bricks wrapped in cloth evokes the cinematic grit of long marches, where every bite fought off hunger pangs sharper than enemy bayonets, building resilience that turned ordinary men into legends of endurance. Its shelf-stable nature mirrors the unyielding steel of a rifle, ready for years without refrigeration, filling the air with a subtle sweetness that promises life when all modern systems collapse into darkness. In the mind's eye, close-ups reveal the fibrous strands yielding to teeth, releasing waves of sustained vitality that echo the heartbeat of a nation forged in conflict and prepared for whatever tomorrow brings. This first essential weapon in the prepared soldier's arsenal stands as a monument to military ingenuity, demanding nothing but foresight to keep the fight alive indefinitely. Hardtack biscuits, those rock-hard squares baked to perfection in military ovens of old, crack with a satisfying snap under the pressure of gloved hands amid the dust and roar of advancing tanks in desert campaigns. Their plain, wheaty scent cuts through the haze of battlefield smoke, offering a dry yet nourishing crunch that fills the mouth with simple sustenance, sustaining troops through sieges where power grids were the first casualties of war. Visuals of soldiers dipping them in canteen water evoke the fluid cinematic shots of ration lines, the subtle saltiness blooming on parched tongues, and fueling marches that tested the limits of human resilience without any electrical aid. Stored for decades in canvas packs, they embody the quiet strength of preparation, their texture a reminder of the gritty determination that carried armies across continents when refrigeration and lights were luxuries of the past. The sensory explosion of chewing through layers built for eternity mirrors the unbreakable will of fighters who refuse to yield, their stomachs full and spirits high even as shells rain down. Every prepared soldier carries this staple as a silent guardian, proof that true survival foods demand no power, yet deliver the epic endurance needed to outlast any apocalypse. Canned Spam and sardines glisten with oily sheen when pried open in the dim light of a bunker, their savory, salty aroma flooding the senses like the first hot meal after days of frozen rations in the trenches of World War I. The metallic pop of the lid echoes like a rifle bolt, releasing tender flakes of fish or firm slices of meat that melt on the tongue with rich umami depth, powering soldiers through blackouts where fresh supplies were myths of peacetime. Cinematic slow motion reveals the glistening fat-catching lantern light, a visual feast of reliability that has fueled invasions and defenses alike, building the physical resilience that turns fear into focused fury. No refrigeration required, these tins stand sentinel for years, their contents a burst of protein and fats that chase away the gnawing emptiness of prolonged conflict and grid down despair. The tactile satisfaction of forking straight from the can under fire evokes the raw authenticity of military life, where every calorie counts as ammunition in the war for survival. This pair of essentials equips the modern prepared soldier with the same battlefield-proven might that has defined victories from Normandy to the Pacific, all without a single spark of power. White rice and dried beans rattle like distant gunfire in burlap sacks, their neutral yet comforting scent promising hearty meals boiled over open flames in makeshift camps during the Vietnam jungle's humid nights. The fluffy grains of rice expand with subtle nuttiness, while beans soften into earthy, fibrous bites, filling the belly with slow-burning energy that sustained patrols through monsoons and ambushes without reliance on any electrical grid. Sweeping aerial shots in the imagination capture soldiers stirring pots under canopy cover, the steam rising with aromas that cut through the jungle rot and fueled the relentless push toward resilience and mission success. These staples endure for decades in sealed containers, their dry textures transforming into life-giving sustenance that demands only water and will, embodying the military ethos of preparation over panic. The sensory warmth spreading through the body after each serving mirrors the inner fire of warriors who refuse to break, their strength drawn from foods as ancient as warfare itself. Together they form the backbone of any prepared soldier's stockpile. Silent sentinels against hunger when power vanishes and the world descends into survival's raw epic. Rolled oats and honey combine in a sticky, golden embrace that clings to the spoon like the unbreakable bond of brothers in arms. Their wholesome, sweet aroma evoking the comfort of dawn rations before charging into the fog of European battlefields. Oats soften into a creamy, nutty porridge, while honey's floral thickness coats the throat with pure energy, sustaining fighters through the coldest winters and longest sieges without a trace of refrigeration or modern power. Close-up visuals capture the slow pour of amber liquid over flakes, a cinematic symbol of nature's own preserved power that has kept armies marching when supply trucks lay wrecked and silent. The tactile chew and lingering sweetness ignite the senses, chasing fatigue like a rallying cry, and forging the physical resilience that turns ordinary citizens into prepared warriors of legend. Stored indefinitely in airtight bins, they represent the quiet genius of military foresight, ready to fuel body and spirit when darkness falls and only the prepared endure. This duo stands as essential armor in the soldier's kit, a testament to survival foods that thrive without electricity, yet deliver epic strength through every trial. Salt and peanut butter pack a punch of savory crunch and mineral depth, their bold aromas cutting through the acrid smoke of artillery barrages as soldiers smeared the spread on hard rations in the heat of Pacific Island assaults. Salt crystals sparkle like frost on gear, while peanut butter's creamy, roasted richness coats the palate, delivering fats and electrolytes that prevented cramps and collapse when power-dependent supply chains failed spectacularly. The gritty texture between teeth and the smooth spread evoke the tactile reality of field life, building unshakable resilience that allowed troops to hold lines for days, without fresh provisions or lighting. Cinematic montages reveal hands dipping into jars amid rain, the sensory explosion fueling determination that no blackout could dim, proving these items are lifelines for the truly prepared. Enduring for years in simple packaging, they embody the military principle of self-reliance, turning basic stores into weapons against hunger and weakness in the theater of crisis. Every prepared soldier stocks these without hesitation, harnessing their power to maintain peak performance when the world around them goes dark and silent. Powdered milk and bouillon cubes dissolve into creamy, savory broths that steam with comforting richness in tin cups held by trembling hands during the frigid nights of the Korean War, their milky sweetness and herbal depth chasing away the chill of isolation. The frothy texture and umami burst revive exhausted bodies, providing calcium and flavor that sustained morale and muscle when electricity was a forgotten luxury of home. Visuals of soldiers stirring under helmet lamps capture the intimate drama of survival, where every sip reinforced the resilience needed to face dawn patrols and endless uncertainty. These items store indefinitely without power, their dry forms transforming into liquid gold that fuels the human machine through the most grueling chapters of conflict. The sensory warmth spreading from core to limbs mirrors the inner glow of prepared fighters who refuse to surrender, armed with knowledge that outlasts any grid failure. They complete the core arsenal, essential foods that every soldier keeps close for the day when resilience alone must bridge the gap between chaos and triumph. As the final shells of uncertainty loom on the horizon and time slips away like sand in an hourglass of crisis, do not wait another second to claim the forgotten food miracle of the U.S. Army and 126 superfoods you can store without refrigeration for years, your ultimate shield against the coming darkness. This is your last clear shot at securing the exact knowledge that has preserved armies through history's bloodiest pages, now vanishing from shelves as prepared minds awaken to the truth of fragile power grids and looming threats. Feel the pounding urgency in your chest like the drumbeat before a charge, because this limited opportunity to arm yourself emotionally and practically could mean the difference between watching loved ones suffer and standing as the unbreakable guardian they deserve. The link burns bright in the description and pinned comment, calling you to act with the same decisive force that turned ordinary soldiers into legends, transforming fear into fortified resolve right now before it's too late. Scarcity grips the moment with iron fists, yet this unique chance remains open for those bold enough to seize it, forging a legacy of self-reliance that echoes through generations of resilient fighters. Buy immediately and awaken the prepared soldier within. Because hesitation today invites regret tomorrow when the lights fail, and only the stocked endure the epic battle for survival. Cornmeal and wheat berries grind under stone with a hearty, earthy resonance that fills the air like the rumble of supply wagons rolling into besieged forts of the American frontier wars. Their coarse texture yields to boiling water in a golden porridge or chewy kernels bursting with nutty flavor, sustaining scouts and settlers through droughts and raids without any electrical dependence. Cinematic wide shots reveal hands kneading dough by firelight, the sensory depth building the quiet power that turned civilians into hardened survivors, ready for whatever the horizon held. Stored in bulk with effortless longevity, they represent the timeless military wisdom of provisioning for the unknown, delivering complex carbohydrates that fuel endurance through the longest sieges. The warm, filling satisfaction spreads like courage through the veins, reminding every prepared soul that true strength comes from simplicity forged in the fires of necessity. These grains anchor the soldier's larder, essential weapons in the arsenal that demand no power, yet guarantee resilience when the world tests your limits. Sugar and dehydrated fruits offer bursts of bright sweetness and chewy tang, their vibrant aromas rising like hope amid the despair of rationed days in the frozen hell of Stalingrad-inspired campaigns. Crystals dissolve with clean energy, while fruits plump with concentrated juices, providing quick calories and vitamins that kept fighters alert and motivated when darkness swallowed the battlefield. The visual pop of color against drab fatigues captures the cinematic contrast of life-affirming provisions against the gray of war, sustaining spirits through sensory delight. No refrigeration needed, these items lock in nature's bounty for years, turning potential weakness into explosive vitality for the prepared warrior facing grid collapse. Every bite evokes the triumph of human ingenuity over scarcity, building the layered resilience that defines soldiers who plan not just to survive, but to dominate adversity. They round out the sweet side of survival, foods every prepared soldier treasures as the spark that ignites the will to push through the final mile. Nuts and seeds crack with satisfying pops between strong jaws, releasing oily roasted depths that fuel long-range reconnaissance in arid theaters where power was never an option. Their crunchy texture and savory oils coat the palate with sustained fats, mirroring the unyielding determination of troops who carried them through deserts and mountains without resupply. Sweeping landscape shots in the mind show hands scooping from pouches under relentless sun, the sensory richness combating dehydration and exhaustion with pure, primal energy. Packed for decades in vacuum seals, they embody the military art of lightweight, high-impact nutrition that requires zero electricity yet delivers maximum battlefield performance. The tactile burst and lingering aftertaste reinforce the bond between soldier and sustenance, forging unbreakable chains of resilience against any coming storm. This final essential completes the circle of 17, arming the prepared fighter with nature's own compact powerhouses for epic endurance. As shadows lengthen across the imagined battlefield of tomorrow, these 17 foods stand united in a symphony of resilience, their combined scents and textures forming a sensory fortress that no blackout, no enemy, and no crisis can breach. From the chewy defiance of pemmican to the golden promise of cornmeal, each bite narrates a story of military triumph over fragility, captured in close-ups of determined hands reaching into stockpiles built with foresight. The roar of past wars fades into the quiet confidence of the prepared, where the absence of power only amplifies the strength drawn from these timeless provisions that have carried heroes through hell. Visual montages of soldiers sharing meals under starlight evoke the emotional core of survival, blending sweat, smoke, and satisfaction into the unbreakable narrative of human endurance. Every prepared soul who embraces them steps into the ranks of legends, their pantries transformed into command centers of self-reliance that echo the greatest victories in history. Together they form the complete arsenal, a cinematic declaration that true soldiers never wait for rescue but forge their own path through the darkness, with foods that demand nothing yet give everything. With the final frame fading on a lone soldier standing tall against the horizon of uncertainty, the question lingers like smoke after the last shot. If society's power vanished tomorrow, and you could only choose 5 of these 17 foods to sustain your family through months of chaos, which ones would you grab first and why? Or would you risk everything by adding something unproven to the list?